They were laughing when I arrived. My sister, her husband, their little boy. I stood there in the hotel lobby, suitcase in hand, the sharp scent of citrus polish and privilege hanging in the air. My mother waved from the reception desk. "They've got us checked in," she said. I smiled, because that's what I do. I smile when I already know something's wrong. The receptionist looked at me like I didn't exist. "I'm sorry, ma'am, there's no booking under your name." My sister turned, a grin creeping up the side of her face. "Oh, that's right, we reserved rooms for us." Her eyes flicked to her husband and child, then back to me. We're the real family, after all. It was casual, like she was joking, except she wasn't. I looked at my mother. She looked away. My father cleared his throat. No one said a word, so I did. Then, "I'll leave." I wheeled my bag around and walked out before the silence collapsed under its own guilt. They didn't follow me, not right away. Families rarely do when they realize who the outcast is. It's easier to pretend they didn't see it happen. I found a small cafe a few blocks down. The air smelled like rain and burnt espresso. My phone buzzed. The group chat lit up. "Where are you? Don't be dramatic. Come back." I didn't answer. Hours passed. Then came the calls, dozens. I silenced them all. Because by then, the message was clear. They hadn't just forgotten me, they'd erased me. But that night, when the laughter in the background of my mother's voicemails turned into panic, I knew something had shifted. Something unthinkable had happened. I should start earlier. When we were kids, my sister always needed the spotlight. I was the quiet one, the one who listened. I learned young that silence was a weapon. She'd talk, I'd watch. She'd lie, I'd remember. When our parents split, I was the one who stayed with Dad, handling the bills, the chaos. She stayed with Mom and learned how to perform affection. When Dad died, she played the grieving daughter at the funeral and took his savings 3 weeks later. I said nothing. I let her believe she'd won. Over the years, I became the background of every family event. The extra plate at the table, the one without a +1. She had a husband, a child, a story worth telling. I had a steady job, no drama, and a memory sharp enough to slice glass. They underestimated me because I didn't fight back. That was their mistake. Last month, I found out about the will. Dad had left something, not money, not property, but control of the trust fund that paid for our mother's care. My sister wanted it, badly. She tried to charm me into signing over rights, smiling that same false smile. I told her I'd think about it. So when she forgot to book me a room, I understood exactly what this trip was. Humiliation disguised as family time. A final shove out of the circle before she took everything. But I'd already set things in motion. 3 days before the trip, I'd met with the family lawyer, quietly, calmly. I told him I suspected my sister was mishandling funds from the trust. He raised an eyebrow. I handed him printouts, transfers from the trust to her personal account. A trail she'd been too arrogant to hide. He promised to look into it. I knew he would. I also knew she'd planned to bring our mother's signature forms on the trip, to update some documents. So before I left that cafe, I forwarded the lawyer her itinerary, their hotel name, and the date. He said he'd send someone to deliver official paperwork. Urgent trust business. By the time I checked into my own quiet hotel across town, I knew everything was unfolding exactly as it should. The next morning, my phone finally rang. Not my sister this time, but the lawyer. His tone was sharp, clipped. "We served them the notice," he said. "Your sister tried to explain, but the evidence is clear. Your mother knows now." Through the thin hotel wall, I could hear the sound of distant waves. For a moment, I thought I might feel sorry for her. But then I remembered her voice in the lobby. "We're the real family." By afternoon, the group chat went silent. When I finally walked back into the hotel that evening, the atmosphere had changed. My sister was sitting alone in the lobby, mascara streaked, her husband pacing beside her. My mother looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "Why did you do this?" my sister asked, her voice breaking. I tilted my head. "You did this." She didn't argue, she just stared, realizing the collapse wasn't sudden, it was earned. They left early the next morning. I stayed an extra day, watched the sun rise over the sea. For the first time, the silence didn't feel like punishment, it felt like peace. I didn't ruin her life, I simply removed the parts she stole. Justice, I've learned, doesn't always look like fire. Sometimes it's cold, precise, silent. And when it's done right, no one even hears the knife slide in.